Have you ever told yourself, just one more day like this, and everything will be better? Just one more long shift, just one more late night, just one more sacrifice. I used to say that almost every day. It started as a simple decision. I wanted to work harder, earn more money, build a better life. So I made a plan. For 30 days, I would work 12 hours a day. No excuses, no distractions, just pure focus. At first, it felt powerful. I woke up early. I felt disciplined. I felt in control. While others were resting, I was working. While others were relaxing, I was pushing forward. And somehow, that made me feel ahead, like I was winning. The first few days were exciting. Everything felt clear. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. There was no confusion, no wasted time, just progress. At least, that's what I believed. But slowly, something began to change. It didn't happen all at once. There was no big moment, just small things that I didn't notice at first. I stopped calling my friends. I told myself I was too busy. I stopped going outside. There was always something more to finish. Even when I had free time, I didn't know what to do with it anymore. Rest started to feel uncomfortable, and silence felt strange. But I kept going because stopping felt like failure, because slowing down felt dangerous, because in my mind, working more meant becoming more, and I didn't want to lose that. So I ignored the signs, the tired eyes, the constant headaches, the feeling that something inside me was getting quieter day by day. Until one night, after another 12-hour shift, I sat alone in my room, no energy, no thoughts, just a strange question that came out of nowhere. What am I actually gaining? And what am I slowly losing? And for the first time, I didn't have an answer. The next morning, nothing felt different, and yet everything felt heavier. I woke up at the same time, followed the same routine, sat at the same desk. But something inside me didn't move as easily as before. It was subtle, almost invisible, like a small resistance I couldn't explain. I opened my laptop, started working, emails, tasks, deadlines. Everything looked the same. But I noticed something strange. I was slower. Not because the work was harder, but because my mind kept drifting away. I would read the same sentence 2, 3 times, and still not understand it. So I pushed myself harder. No distractions, no weakness. That's what I told myself, but the more I forced it, the more tired I felt. By the afternoon, my body was there, but my mind felt far away. I stared at the screen, waiting for motivation to come back, but it didn't. Instead, a quiet emptiness started to grow. That evening, my phone buzzed. A message from a friend. "Hey, are you free this weekend?" I looked at it for a long time. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to go out, to laugh, to feel something different, but my fingers typed something else. "Sorry, I'm busy." And the moment I sent it, I felt it. Not relief, not focus, but something closer to loss. Like I had just said no to something important, even though I couldn't clearly explain why. Days continued like that. Work filled every space, every hour, every thought, and slowly, I stopped noticing time. Monday felt like Thursday. Morning felt like night. Everything blended together into one long, continuous effort. There were no real breaks, no clear endings. Just more work waiting for me. And somewhere in the middle of it all, I stopped asking myself how I actually felt, because deep down, I think I already knew the answer. Around the second week, the feeling changed again. Not better, not worse, just quieter. the kind of quiet that slowly takes over without asking permission. I was still working 12 hours a day, still following the plan, still telling myself this was worth it. But something inside me had stopped reacting. Good news didn't feel exciting. Its finished tasks didn't feel satisfying. Even small wins felt empty, like checking a box that didn't matter anymore. One afternoon, I finished a big piece of work, something that used to make me proud. I leaned back in my chair, looked at the screen, and waited for that feeling to come, that sense of achievement, that small moment of happiness. But nothing came, just silence. I told myself, maybe I'm just tired. So I stood up, walked around the room, tried to take a break, but even resting didn't feel like rest anymore. My mind stayed busy, thinking about what's next, what's unfinished, what I should be doing instead. It was like I had forgotten how to stop. That night, I tried to watch something, a simple video, something light, but after a few minutes, I closed it. I couldn't focus. I couldn't enjoy it. And that's when I realized it wasn't just my body that was tired. It was something deeper, something emotional, something I hadn't been paying attention to. Because for days, maybe weeks, I had been treating myself like a machine. Wake up, work, repeat. No space for feelings, no time to slow down. And now, those feelings weren't gone. They were just buried, waiting. And the more I ignored them, the harder it became to feel anything at all. That scared me. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, uncomfortable realization. I was still moving forward. But I didn't feel alive anymore. By the third week, my body started to speak louder, not with words, but with signals I could no longer ignore. I woke up tired, even after sleeping. My eyes felt heavy. My head felt slow, and simple things started to feel difficult. Replying to messages, making small decisions, even choosing what to eat. Everything required effort. At first, I thought it was just stress, something normal, something temporary. So I did what I always did. I pushed through it. More coffee, more focus, more discipline. But the more I pushed, the less energy I had. It didn't make sense. I was working harder than ever, but producing less than before. And that frustrated me, because in my mind, effort should always lead to results. But now, effort only led to exhaustion. One evening, I looked at myself in the mirror, and for a moment, I didn't recognize the person looking back at me. Not because I looked different, but because I felt different. There was no spark, no energy, no presence. Just someone going through the motions. That night, I didn't open my laptop again, not because I didn't have work, but because I couldn't. I sat in silence, no music, no phone, no distractions, and slowly, thoughts began to come back. Not about deadlines, not about tasks, but about life outside of work. Things I had been missing without even realizing it. Conversations I didn't have, moments I didn't notice, people I slowly drifted away from, all replaced by hours of effort I could barely remember. And for the first time, I asked myself a different question. If I keep living like this, what will be left of me when the work is done? The last few days felt different, not because the work became easier, but because something inside me had finally become clear. I was tired, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and no amount of discipline could hide that anymore. For almost 30 days, I had been running forward without stopping, believing that more effort would solve everything. But now, I could finally see the truth. I wasn't building a better life, I was slowly disconnecting from it. One evening, I closed my laptop earlier than usual. The room was quiet, no pressure, no urgency, just a simple moment. That felt strangely unfamiliar. I didn't know what to do next. So I just sat there, breathing, looking around, and noticing something I hadn't felt in a long time: space. Space to think, space to feel, space to exist without chasing anything. And in that quiet space, I began to understand what I had been losing. Not time, not money, but connection. Connection to myself, to other people, to the small moments that make life feel real. Because working 12 hours a day didn't just take my energy, it took my attention. And without attention, even meaningful things start to disappear. So on the 30th day, I made a different decision: not to quit everything, not to stop working completely, but to change the way I was living, to create limits, to allow rest, to make space for something beyond work. Because in the end, success doesn't mean much if you have no energy left to feel it. If this story felt familiar to you, take a quiet moment to reflect on your own life. Are you moving forward or just moving fast? And if this helped you see something more clearly, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today.